you guys. Hey, internets. It's Jake
Hello.
from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is Welcome to Paradise Academy, Season 2 of our Kids on Bikes Welcome to Paradise, Michigan campaign. This is episode 29, Time for Reflection. Quite a lot happened in our last session, and it's time for these kids to get a chance to get a little bit of a break. First, a couple of quick announcements, then we'll get into the game proper. First and foremost, domain pops. If you look up above M and Tomiko over there in the right corner there, you'll see a bunch of pops. In fact, there's two more going to appear because of the sub and the bits. And oh look, Twitch added an extra 50 bits just for fun. That's part of apparently their September promotion. Every bit you cheer, they're above 300, they add 10% extra. Also, we have a sub goal down in the bottom corner down here below me. You can see we're trying to hit 50 subs. We're just under halfway there. So every sub will go towards that goal as well. The domain pops, though, real quick. If you are new here and you don't know what they're for, they are your way to have an impact on the game by subscribing, resubscribing, gifting subs, cheering 500 bits, tipping $5, or through Ko-fi memberships. All of those things will earn the players domain pops. Domain pops function like adversity tokens within the Kids on Bikes rule set, in that you can the players get to use those to add to their dice rolls to have a greater chance of success, or they can spend them 5 at a time to make themselves or anybody else roll on the D100 mystery grab bag table, which has happened. I think we figured out it's happened 19 times since we started our game. I went through and checked. 5 of those were...
Wow, that's actually more than I thought.
Yeah, 5 of those were recyclable. So there's currently 14 spots that are taken up on the table. So yeah, that's how domain pops go. And of course, every sub, every bit, all of those things go to support the channel. For things like our upcoming shows, you know, so we can have cool intros and things like that. We still have on deck. Personal things have been interfering, but we will be figuring out the logistics for the Scribes and Scrolls finale very soon. And then things are moving behind the scenes for the game that's going to take that slot. Another Pathfinder 2 game called Seven Dooms for Sandpoint. And we've got a great lineup for that. I don't know if we've said before, but Tomiko, Carrie, Jay, Neophet, Myth and Gears, Karen, who's the other person? Why am I blanking on this? Vi. It's not Vi's fault. I will always forget the 5th person. Doesn't matter what order I say their names in, I will always forget the 5th person.
Vi is second only to me in backstory length. So.
And we've got some wonderful presentations for that game. Plus, it's just going to be fun starting a new Pathfinder 2 game from the beginning in an official module. So stay tuned for that. Speaking of games, it was delayed. Actually, 2 things. One, we do have on alternate Tuesday, so this coming Tuesday will be, after a month off, will be our next Sky Metal Iron Gods game. And then the week after that, I've been teasing this for a while, we keep having to push it for various reasons, we're pretty sure it's going to happen, is Scavenger Death at Dusk. It is a new 5e game using the Scavenger setting from Shardstone Assembly, and one of the creator and author, Marquise Hardis, will be GMing myself and Lloyd Collins as the only 2 players in that game. And the first session is actually going to be a session 0, which normally we don't broadcast. However, Shardstone Assembly and specifically Crimson Catalyst uses a ritual style session 0 to help create aspects of the game. So we are going to be doing that, broadcasting it live. It'll be a shorter session, and then we will be having a 3-player campaign between Marquise, Lloyd, and I. And if you're watching this live with us, this is happening tomorrow, which happens to be Friday the 13th. If you are watching on VOD, watching later on a recording, this will be happening, should be available on YouTube. I'm running a one-shot for the first time since the original Legend of the Pumpkin Face Killer Halloween game that Carrie was a part of, and M. The very first ever occurrence of Paradise, Michigan. For the first time since then, I'm running a one-shot set in this world called Welcome to Hell, Michigan. Get ready for one hell of a field trip. A group of kids from Paradise Academy, the Culture Club, are going on a field trip when their bus breaks down in the small roadside town of Hell, Michigan. They're on their way to Greenfield Village and Henry Ford Museum, but we're not entirely sure they're ever going to make it there. Tune in tomorrow night to find out what happens to our characters. Craig, who you'll remember as TJ from his guest appearance on this show. Our friend Sarah from the Sky Metal game. Jay, Neophet. Michelle, also known as Purple Swirl, and the heir to the MTD Empire, Zach, the son of MTD himself, is also playing in that game. It was supposed to be Baron, but scheduling conflict, but I've already promised Baron a slot in an upcoming 3-shot that we've teased privately. So you'll have to keep an eye out for that. Okay, I'm lingering on announcements. We got a late start. I'm going to tell you the important stuff. As always, use discretion when watching our games. They are intended for a mature audience. You're going to hear adult language. You're going to hear graphic depictions of violence, potentially. You might hear sensitive topics talking about death, relationships, divorce, bullying, things like that. All of those can come up. If you're not in the right headspace or that's not something that interests you, please feel free to go somewhere else. We will not be offended. Come back when you're feeling better, or just know maybe the show isn't for you. That said, know that we use safety tools in our games. We have session 0s determining our lines and veils, and we use a traffic light system to make sure that everybody stays safe around the table. Whether you are running a one-shot such as Hell, Michigan, we had a 2-hour session 0 for that game because it's important. Especially when playing with people you've never played with before, but that doesn't matter. You could be playing with people you've played with for 30 years. If you're introducing something new to them or setting up a new game, have a session 0. I have players in this very screen right now that I've asked multiple times, send me your RPG consent form. Because guess what? The form you send me today, between yesterday and today, things could have changed. Maybe tomorrow you send me some new lines and veils. I don't know what's going on in your life every moment of the day, and I'm never going to take anything for granted. So we encourage you to use safety tools in your own games. Check out all of the options that are out there. A simple Google search will hook you up with that. With that, one final thing. I almost forgot. I don't know how I almost forgot. We do this at every session because it's super important. It's just a reminder that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference, whether you believe it or not. It is true. There are any number of reasons why you might be struggling. Sometimes the biggest struggle I've found is figuring out where to start, how to get help. We made it as simple as possible. All you have to do is, just like Tamiko did in the chat, type !help. A couple URLs will pop up. Check out the websites at findahelpline.com or check out the growing list of resources at takethis.org. We encourage you to check out those websites, bookmark them, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. A brief footnote about takethis.org. If you've used their services or you're familiar with them, they are desperately asking for fundraising right now. They need to raise $80,000 by the end of September, or they will be closing down. So if that's something that's important to you and you're able to give a little bit, go to takethis.org. You can check out how you can help them. With that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise Academy. It's been a rough, I want to say a few months, but in game it's been like 2 days maybe. It's a lot. A capital A, a capital L, trademark, a lot. Most importantly, as everybody had gotten separated into different groups, it culminated in the ROTC kid TJ, who was discovered to have been communicating via mirror with Jessica for a few weeks, along with recent captives of the Nexus Project, Laz and Rosie, were able to free Jessica from the Jealous Mirror at the sacrifice of both Anne and TJ, both of whom were lost to the Jealous Mirror. Billy and Oak were trying their best to get there, to mount their own rescue mission. They ran into a new version of Oak, a sort of in between Dr. K and Hines version. What were we calling him? Spoke, I believe. Spaceman Oak.
I think Spoke was one of several things we were calling him.
Spoke was one of several things that came out of that. And they got sidetracked, but eventually met up with the group as everybody was making their escape. Randomly, out of nowhere, Coop showed up in the labs as well, having recently encountered one of many Jakes, Jake the Miner, gaining his trust, and was given given a set of keys that seemed to provide seemingly unrestricted access to the green doors with brass handles. With that, everybody was able to make their escape from the Nexus Labs, with the intention, I believe, to get together as a group and decompress. It's time for a debrief. It's time for reflection. Given the recent state of Jessica, maybe that was a poor choice of words, but maybe it was also deliberate. I mean, by that token, given Oak's abilities, maybe time for reflection is a poor choice of words, but also maybe intentional. So, it is Sunday afternoon. Sundays are a day for relaxing. Most businesses in Paradise are closed. Most people are using the last vestiges of summer before full-on fall hits, to hit the beach, to do things with their families. Some people choose to have lazy afternoons in their backyards, sitting in their Adirondack chairs with a pitcher of lemonade or iced tea and watching the clouds go by. Some people are out riding bikes, tending gardens. A few lawnmowers can be heard. I believe the plan was that everybody was going to meet at Jessica's place at the Starlight Mobile Park. I would like to start with Jessica before everybody arrives. Or would everybody have gone straight there? I guess.
I think Rosie probably would have gone home to get clothes, like to sneak in and out, probably.
I think for the sake of maintaining that sort of 80s TV show and movie ambiguity, it's the next day. It doesn't matter where you were. You show up the next day, you got fresh clothes. We know a little bit of time has passed and we know you're all getting together. I want Jessica to have had at least some time to process things by herself. And I would like us to start with Jess before others start arriving. And I'm going to let you guys in the side chat determine in what order you arrive. Jess, you're at home in your bedroom on the other side of the mirror. Actually in your room with your clothes and your bed and your posters and your pink translucent phone and what have you. What's it like for you? What are you doing for being home for the first time in literal months, but what has probably felt like longer for you?
I imagine that Jessica's mom is out working late or working all the time as she usually does. So Jessica lets herself in. The key is still under the mat, as it always is. And as she does so, things feel very, you have that like liminal sense of, it's like when you are moving out of your house and everything is empty and it's your house, but it feels unfamiliar, it feels different, it feels very foreign yet familiar. And I think that's exactly how Jessica feels as she walks in to her house. Everything looks the same. Everything is in its place as it usually is, but everything is so different and strange. As she walks into her room, that's probably the strangest of all. Clothes that she, hadn't worn, strewn about. Perfumes, bottles a little emptier. This room has been used by someone who looked like Jessica but was not. And so she sees, maybe she sees a note, a piece of paper from her notebook ripped out with writing on it. And the writing is not hers, but not hers. It was Anne's.
Jessica, your room is actually completely the opposite of how you left it. Having spent so much time in the mirror world and seeing things through the mirror to make herself feel comfortable and rearrange the room. Your bed is on the opposite wall. The dresser's on the opposite wall. Any furniture that could be moved to match what a reflection would look like has been shifted.
Yeah, so I think that only adds to Jessica's just unfamiliarity with everything. Because she changed it for Jessica in the mirror world, everything was as it was. And so I think that for like a sake of normalcy, I think Jessica just wants to sit down in front, and she hesitates at first, but she sits down at her vanity and she very slowly looks into the mirror. and she is just always looking, like, ready for Anne's face. And the last face that she saw Anne have, which was this rage, this unbridled anger. She's almost expecting that to jump through the window.
I imagine
the mirror at her.
As you look in the mirror, we see you looking at your reflection, and we can see your eyes, like, furtively, just like ready for any moment. I would like you to roll. I would like you to roll a D100, please. I'm going to do things differently for a reason that will become clear in a moment. For future D100 rolls, I'm going to have you guys roll your number and tell me, and then I will roll mine.
I rolled 11.
So there is literally a 1% chance of this happening.
Oh.
I am going to roll a D100. I would like you all to watch the screen closely.
Ooh!
I rolled a 100.
That's a 100, all right. First roll of this cool new thing.
That are also green dice with brass numbers.
Oh! Yay!
I am
always
very,
the details. It's
very.
always the details.
Tamiko was there when I was planning this. It was supposed to be revealed last week.
That's awesome.
I have all dice incorporated into, and it's fully randomized.
That almost was a crit.
It almost.
That's badass.
Yep. So
I thought
if
you
you
had
would've
loaded digital dice. They're just like always hundreds, always 20.
Well, if the next one comes up 100, then we'll know.
what's funny about that is the code that's behind these dice. You can code them to roll a specific number.
Oh.
You have, like, I'm just pushing a button to activate the random dice roller, but you can add a code to a die if you need a number to come up for a specific. I don't know why. I think it's
like it's an
weird,
effect or something. For something.
I know for a fact that somebody's using it because they always want to display a 20 or a 1, so that when players roll a 20 or a 1, they can go, hey, and push the button, and hey, a 20 shows up. So there's a practical reason. I have not loaded any dice. Jess, you're furtively looking, and for a split second, you see movement behind you. And then you realize it's just the breeze pushing the curtain ever so slightly, coming through the partially open window. The longer you look in the mirror, you realize, for the first time in longer than you can remember, you are safely looking into a reflective surface.
I think gradually, like, when Jess first looked in the mirror, like, you could see everything was tense. Her fists were balled tightly. I imagine her eyes, they look sunken in, tired. Like, I don't imagine she has slept very well in this alternate universe. And so, but as time goes on and as she feels that sense of being alone, you can see that her hands kind of slowly begin to relax, and her hand then moves across the table to this, like, pink hairbrush, and she slowly brings it up and she begins to brush her hair in front of the mirror. Slowly, methodically. It brings comfort to her, and so I think she would just be doing that for a while.
There's a ring. Your pink translucent phone lights up and rings on the whether next to you on the vanity or on the bedside table. You are getting a phone call.
Yeah, she would answer. Hello?
Hey Jess, it's Mom. I'm gonna have to work late again. I'm probably not going to be home until after 10. I just went grocery shopping. There's TV dinners. And if your friends are coming over, I got one of those family size Salisbury steaks and mashed potatoes, and help yourself to drinks. Let me rephrase that. Help yourself to the sodas in the fridge. I know how much is in each bottle.
Wow.
Just kidding. Just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be working late tonight, so don't expect me home anytime soon.
All right. And you see, Jessica pauses for a while, and she stops and she says, "Love you, Mom." Which I imagine Jessica probably hasn't said to her mom for a while. It's not something teenagers say.
I think you get an almost equal in length pause. I love you too, Jess. Is everything all right?
Yeah, everything's great. I realized I haven't told you that in a while, and I just wanted to say that, she says. But thanks for the dinner, she says very quickly after.
All right, well, I'll see you tonight if you're still up. And then she says, okay, love you, bye. And then
Bye.
click. And I imagine probably right about time there is about the time you either hear a knock at the door or you hear the door open. I don't know how, but one of your friends has just arrived.
Me. Boom, boom, boom. I don't come in. That's rude.
You see Jess put down the phone, put down the brush, and go and open the door.
So is this the same night then? Is this the next day?
This is the next day.
Okay. So, yeah, right. That was funny, Chad. So Rosie is there, and she has like a backpack, and she's wearing like her normal clothes. And she just does not look like she has slept very well. She kind of looks a little haggard, if we're being completely honest. And she's just like, "Hey, Jess, can I come in and can I hang out here for a little while?"
Yeah, you say Jess come on in, please.
And I do. And my bike is just kind of laying on the side of it, just in the yard somewhere. The lot. And Rosie does. She comes in and she just kind of she would sit somewhere and she would just kind of rub her eyes and just kind of breathe. She looks more relaxed all of a sudden now that she's here for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Just I have something for us. And she is gonna go into the forbidden cabinet and pull out 2 shot glasses and probably some of the vodka so that she pours a little bit in and then she fills it a little bit with water and puts it back into the cabinet, and she puts the 2 glasses on the table.
Oh
So
my God.
you're probably lucky. There's just there's some vodka, and it's probably the only other thing in there is a little bit of Jim Beam, and there's definitely some peach schnapps in there.
Oh, of course there's peach schnapps. Oh my God. So Rosie kind of looks a little questioningly at the shot glass, and her instinct is to not do it, but then she kind of remembers all of the shit that's happened in the last couple of days, and she just kind of shrugs, and she I imagine she's never done a shot in her life. I imagine some of it misses.
You know
I
what?
also imagine you see Jessica about to go get some sodas to mix with the drink, and then she just looks back and sees Rosie like just take it. It was like, oh.
And I like got
Rosie.
all over my mouth. I'm like, yeah.
Roll a grit check. Let's see how good Rosie can handle a shot of vodka.
Okay. Oh, guess what?
Did you get a
It's
lucky
nat
break?
one.
Oh
I got a
no!
1 on a
Yeah.
D20.
Yep.
That's what we get for rolling 100.
Yeah.
It's all
That,
over my face. I'm like, I hate that.
not only
You
that,
like-
it's that the bit that did make it in, it soured your stomach a little bit.
Oh. Why do people enjoy doing that?
She immediately takes like a ginger ale or something and like puts it in
Verner's.
front of Rosie.
It's got to be Verner's. Thanks.
If you're cracking a
God.
frickin' Verner's.
Not a Verner's. It's a LaCroix. I've failed you. But anyway, it's like, ugh.
Oh my gosh, Rosie, what a trooper!
I did all I could. I thought that would make me feel better. It didn't.
Just wait a few minutes.
Mm,
It'll help.
okay. I didn't sleep at all last night. I was like watching for, I don't know for what, but I couldn't sleep.
Jess nods, and she cracks open her own ginger ale and like puts the shot into the just like gotta double fist it. She drinks. She nods. Yeah, I didn't sleep so great either.
Is everything okay here? Does anybody like have you seen your mom? Does she like suspect anything?
No, she's been at work. I have a feeling she's probably been at work, the whole time, so I don't even know if she would notice anything that's different or wrong or
Sure.
whatever, but it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're back. This whole thing has been just massively fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, when we got you guys out of the lab the first time, I didn't know how bad it was. It's bad. It's bad.
It just it seemed like it happened all at once. Well, not for, I was kind of stuck, but from what I saw,
Yeah.
shit kind of hit the fan for you guys.
Yeah, it was like, I just wanted to be normal and enjoy it, and that just the universe had other plans, I guess.
Yeah, she says again.
So you got to be ready. I don't know what's gonna happen, but Billy and Anne were kind of
I know.
yeah.
I saw, she says after a pause, and you can see just like the discomfort on her face.
Yeah. So there's gonna be some fucking fallout from that. It's like, man, it's like we just can't like escape it, Like, shit. I just want to play basketball and go to school, and I never thought I'd really, really want to just like go to math class. But man, I do, and I just want it to be normal.
You see like Jess kind of like laugh at that, and she nods and she's like, I never thought I'd miss I don't know the teacher's names offhand.
Coach Ironside.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I never thought I'd miss Coach Ironside yelling at us, telling us to run more, doing laps.
She
I
did
ki-
plenty of that.
I miss it. It was expected, she said. It was normal. It was trustworthy. You could
Well, everybody's gonna think you're homecoming queen too, for the record. So you gotta pull
Well.
that up.
She like flips her hair and she's like, I would have won that anyway.
And like Rosie laughs like genuinely, and you can really, it's like from her stomach, and that's maybe the vodka's kicking in, or maybe it's just she feels comfortable for the first time in a long time. And then yeah, she's just kind of sitting there, and I imagine they're kind of like trying to catch up on what Jess missed and what she didn't, and
Yep.
stuff like that.
I've got this. The scene shifts over to Coop leaving his house, getting on his bike and pedaling down the street. He's got it in his head that he's going to, because we have this plan, right? We had already planned to meet up at the trailer park, right?
Mhm.
That's there. He's gonna try to stop by the sunken galley to pick up Oak on the way. Now, tell me, Jake, does the sunken galley still exist?
Ooh.
I'm going to be honest with you. I have not made that decision, so we're going to let the dice decide.
Oh boy.
I'm going to say that there is a 30% chance that the sunken galley exists, and you are about to determine if it exists. So you roll.
With a D100 roll?
Yep, you roll your D100, and if I land within 15 on either side of yours...
68, one less than nice.
Almost
Again.
nice.
Dang it.
Almost nice. Let's find out if the sunken galley exists when you pull up there. So you rolled a 68, so that would be a 53 to a 83?
Sure, man. I'm not doing that math.
I glanced at Carrie, but she's off the clock.
I'm off the clock.
That's an 87. So I would like Coop. This is Tamiko. This is your chance to do a little world building.
Oh my.
When you pull up to where the sunken galley was, what's there instead?
Ooh.
There's a Chinese restaurant there now, Jake.
Yes.
The Walk and Roll.
Oh my god. The walk and roll. I love it. That is great.
Coop pulls up and he's confused because instead of the sign with the Evangeline on it, he sees a sign with a picture of a steaming wok, like the silhouette of a steaming wok. And he's like, what? What's going on? And he goes up and presses his face against the window to look inside because they're closed because it's Sunday.
Is he making a face like this?
Probably.
Into the window? Can't see.
He's looking and he's trying to see, like, is this a completely different place? Yes. Like, and he's so confused. He's like, where did the galley? Where's Oak? Oh no! And he's panicking and he's like, oh my god, I gotta get help. And then he gets on his bike and he pedals really quickly over to the trailer park. Oh, Jake, you're a genius.
That's not me. That was Craig in the chat. He said that's where TJ got the fortune
Craig.
cookie.
Way to
Craig's
be
a
Craig.
genius. So
Yeah,
Cannon.
go ahead. Apparently, a now sweaty and breathless Coop shows up at the house.
you know, the way he normally is.
I just
Rosie's
picture
just telling the story of how
For-
she almost got into a fucking fist fight with Anne as Coop
For a
bursts in the
moment.
door.
for a moment, as we see from the vantage point of the house, we see Coop pedaling off. Then it cuts to that sort of high angle shot from just above Jess's house, and we can see the that particular lane of the trailer park, and we just see Coop pedaling away, and we just see as the camera lowers down as Coop is off his bike before it even stops moving, and it just sort of rolls forward and crashes into a heap next to Rosie's, and jump up the wooden stairs, porch stairs to the door.
He runs up and he's not polite. He opens the door
Rosie
And
shoots
he-
to her feet.
and he's standing there. He's all, I think something terrible happened to Oak.
What happened? What are you talking about?
Well, he's not home. His home isn't home. The sunken galley's gone.
Hold on. Coop, sit down. Sit down for a second.
Yeah. Breathing's hard.
Jess, do you have another Verner's for Coop? I think he's gonna die.
Yeah, you see Jess hand Koopa the ginger ale.
Oh, before I forget, here, Jess, I brought this for you. And he reaches into his backpack and he pulls out a poorly folded, clean-ish Duran shirt that is, what is it? That is ripped now in places. He's like, I did my best to clean it. I don't know how to use the washing machine, so I did it in the sink. But I borrowed this from you. You didn't know that, though.
Jessica nods and takes it. Thanks, Coop.
You're welcome. But Oak, I went to go pick up Oak, and the sunken galley is gone. There's a Chinese restaurant there now. Which, hooray for egg rolls, but sad for Oak.
Is this one of those moments where it's like in our brains there's two different memories happening?
I was just about to say, I think as Coop is telling you this, there's almost an instinctive, of course, there's always been a Chinese restaurant there.
I fucking love the walk and roll. They got great rangoons.
But then you also remember Sunken Galley sinks in. You remember the Evangeline decor. You remember the Pac-Man table. You remember Coop's little... damn it. You remember Oak's little room in the back and Heinz and all that stuff. And it's not a distant memory. It occupies the same space superimposed over the memory of the walk and roll. Or the walk and roll.
Along with the knowledge of, the Chinese place, do we know where Oak really lives now?
Well, you do for certain. I think in this case, the other three do not. Or I should say 4. Laz also doesn't know. It's to set the, I guess, future expectations, if you will. This phenomenon is such that when somebody you're not thinking about where Oak lives, and for those of you, if you try to think about it, and you've not been there, so you don't really know. But as soon as somebody mentions it, you're like, oh yeah, it's like the mention of the memory unlocks it in your brain. So keep that in mind for future revelations, as that's sort of how these memory duplicate memories are unfolding. And for the record, you all still remember Dr. K and Heinz.
Well, so at the end of all this, do we know where he lives or no? We don't know where he lives. Okay. Well, Coop, maybe he'll... I think we should stay in one place. I mean, if he'll probably find us, right? I mean, this place hasn't moved.
Yeah, I think that's what they say about, like, when you get lost in the woods, stay where you are.
Oh.
We're not in the woods, but we're at a trailer park, and it's kind of the same thing.
I kind of look uncomfortably over at Jess and shrug.
Yeah, Jess kind of also looks, takes another drink of the vodka and ginger ale.
I shrug and I go, it's the wood paneling.
The smell of
I really hope nothing bad happened to him. Whenever we get separated, I'm always afraid something bad's happening to you guys.
That's fair.
What happened to you in the lab, Rosie?
And I imagine when Coop walked in, one of the first things Rosie did was like put the vodka bottle like on the floor behind a coffee table or something, just sort of like not hit it, but like hit it. And she kind of like looks down at it and doesn't take it, but like thinks about it. And she's like, I don't think I'm really ready to talk about it, Coop. It was a lot.
That's okay. I understand.
Thanks.
I think in that kind of a pause, I think Oak would be showing up. But I think it's this interesting thing because Oak doesn't want to go back home, right? Oak wouldn't have wanted to go back home because he doesn't know that. He doesn't know that person that's there. So everything he has that is important to him right now is in his backpack. Extra clothes, extra everything, and
to be fair, if you would have said anything or like whatnot, you would have been welcome.
Oh yeah, no, I 100% believe he stayed at Billy's the night after all of this. Like he would have stayed with you after all of that. So he would be leaving from the Stapler house, and I think he would like check in on you.
So I would say that at this point in time, like we probably went most of the way there, and like as the house gets into view, I say you go on ahead. I need a couple minutes to work through some stuff. And as Oak kind of begins walking, like, or as he begins walking up to the house, like Billy kind of like begins like walking away and kind of pacing in place a few hundred yards away.
Yeah, I think at this point Oak and Billy have kind of like formed their own little bond because they were not present with it, and
100%.
like he just nods to you knowingly, like, all right, yeah, I'll be back.
As I would like to take before, as you're walking in, we linger for just a moment on Billy as you're pacing. Billy, I'd like you to make me a brains check real quick.
That's a 6.
You don't see it, but we, the audience, see. As you turn your back while you're pacing, your back is sort of towards that direction of the main road, which is, I imagine, probably a couple hundred yards back behind you. We see that 1981 Dodge. I forgot what it's called, and I can't find my paper with it. But we see that car, and we see the blonde woman and the heavyset man with the mustache slowly drive past, and both of them just looking in your direction, and then they continue on their way. As you go inside, Oak.
Yeah, I think Oak's a gentleman. Oak will not barge through the door unless the door is wide open. He would knock on the door to be let in, and then once inside, he would.
Oh my god. Okay. Hi.
Wow. And I think he just stops for a minute and like looking around at all of your faces, right? Like everybody. Like he stops on Jessica's face for just a minute, and then like looks to Rosie and then looks to Coop. And is just, you can see this full body sigh of relief like go over Oak as he's standing there.
I'm just really happy to be here. Things have gotten real weird, real fast. How is everybody? And also, did things work out the way that they were supposed to? Kind of looking at Jessica, not knowing if what happened, right?
Coop swoops in from the side and just nails you with a giant hug.
Oh my god, that is adorable.
Oh god.
While the littles are distracted, I pour a little bit more vodka in my burners.
I thought something terrible had happened to you because the sunken galley's gone.
Wait, it's gone? I hadn't gone back to see, so I've been spending time at Billy's house.
Yeah, it's a Chinese restaurant now. The Walk and
And then-
Roll, great name.
And then,
Whoever thought of that is a genius and doesn't have a D4 brain at all.
That's a D4.
What's a D4, man? There's like this mixture of memories, but I think that Oak kind of solidifies himself typically with his memories holding on to them. It's like, no, Sunken Galley was there, but I mean, if the Walk and Roll's there now, I mean, I'm sure it's a nice place, but it's not where I'd call home. So I don't really have a place to go back to. Because the place that I do have to go back to, y'all, it's weird. I don't even want to give him that title. Wait. Algernon may or may not be my stepdad. So there's that.
Foster
now.
dad.
Foster dad, stepdad. What, like, I don't know. But yeah.
Coop spits out his Verners.
What?
Yeah. I know. We had all over sitting at breakfast and everything. And this little rat, this weasel, just turns his head, smiling, flipping us pancakes. It's crazy pants, man.
And he didn't
Crazy
poison
pants.
you when he had the chance?
I didn't even think about it. I was just hungry and tired, and I just ate the food. But now you're making me have a whole nother complex. Did he poison us? Did something happen? I don't know. You can see he actively pulls out, like, notepad. Possible poisoning. Maybe another thing. And then he, looks, I think, after there's a moment between him and Coop, he looks between Rosie and Jessica, and he, especially looks to Jessica and is like, okay, Jessica?
Yeah, she says, very quickly.
Okay. And at that point, I think he would give you a hug if you allow it. He would not jump forward and do that without your consent. But once he does, he's just, I'm so glad to see you.
It's good to see you, Oak. She says as she, I imagine she's a lot taller than he is.
Oh yeah,
so
for
she's
sure.
just kind
for
of
sure.
head pat.
There. Don't be cry.
It's I thought about how we could solve that forever, but I didn't know what was going on, and I wish I had said something or done something sooner so that you wouldn't have to deal with all that. But I'm just glad you're back, because I'd rather have you here than that other one.
Yeah. Anne was
Yeah.
evil. Glad she's
Yeah.
gone, she
Yeah.
says as she
We won't-
takes another big
No,
sip.
we won't talk about it. I'm sorry for saying something.
No, it's all right. Glad to be out. Glad to be here in this craziness.
So
the scene shifts to outside where Billy is kind of, pacing back and forth, and this entire time he's been kind of living the moment of once everyone stepped out of the lab and had a chance to breathe, the chance to be safe. And in an instant, like Billy, as he got close to Anne, would go up, would approach Jessica, and whether it be to hold her hand or give her a hug, and just stepping like in her direction, he instantly senses that this is not Anne, and he like turns to in a circle, and is completely flummoxed, and the realization comes on him, and anger rises up because he knows what's transpired, but he doesn't want, he doesn't focus the anger at Jessica. Jessica is still his friend, and he's happy that she's there, so he quickly swallows it down. And this is we need to talk about this, but not now. And he just lives this moment until everybody goes and separates and goes their separate ways. I imagine there's a conversation, even if it's a difference of opinion, as Oak and Billy head back to the Stapler house. He thinks about all of the moments at the beginning of the school year where he knows that one of the twins is trapped in the mirror, and at first he thought it was Anne, and was trying to connect to her, and so much that he shattered the mirror in the restroom of the pizza place. And eventually we get to the point where he knows that it's Anne, and he tries talking to her, as Anne is always deflecting anytime Jessica comes up. And he gets his anger under control, and he makes his way to the house, and in a very, very faint knock, as he's trying to compose himself, he just one finger rap on Jessica's door.
I think Jessica opens the door, and I think you could see she was expecting someone else, Laz, probably, as she looks, and you can see like the brief like kind of surprise and a little like just a bit of surprise as she looks to you, Billy, and then opens the door wider, allowing you in.
So how good is Jessica at reading people?
Probably pretty good.
So
You don't get that popular without knowing how people fucking tick, man.
So you can see the pain in his face as he quickly like looks past you into the house. Is everybody here yet?
Everyone but Laz. He's still not
Probably
here.
sleeping.
So can I come in?
Yeah, Jessica's moved like, and you can see like Jessica's not usually someone who is awkward, but she also cannot meet your eyes as she like stands aside and opens the door wider for you to come in.
So, Billy takes stock of like where everyone is kind of gathered, and like he finds a section, and it's almost as if it was like the first time we've gotten together at the start of the summer, where Billy doesn't know how he fits in, and like he basically positions himself as far away from everyone as possible, and he doesn't seem to know what to do with himself.
I think Jess takes out another ginger ale and hands it to Billy.
Nods and says, thanks. I'm glad you're home.
Me too, she says. Me too.
Where do we go from here, guys? What do we do?
I'm just going to point out, Coop, it never comes up, but Coop's rank is in Frank. And Coop just blurts out, he's all,
So what happened to Anne?
I look uncomfortably over at Jess.
Anne is where she belongs. Where she was before all this started.
Rosie kind of smiles. Rosie is starting to feel the effects of the vodka, like for sure now, and she smiles and she's like, "Just beat her ass."
Well,
why do you say she belongs there?
That's where she came from.
In the summer, you didn't seem keen to get rid of her. She was our friend.
Well, that was before she shoved me in a mirror and kept me in there for months.
You had her in that place for years.
Just
I did.
Have her
I
anywhere,
did.
man.
You see Jess stand up? I didn't ask for this. You think I went and I asked to have this twin who I didn't know? And then she comes in here, takes over my life, forces me into the mirror, won't let me out, won't let me talk to any of my friends. I didn't choose any of this. It was Anne. Anne made all of the choices that happened. Yeah, she might have started out there, but she didn't choose to try and have us both out. She didn't choose to try and make sure that both of us were happy and free. No, she forced me in the mirror.
So
she kept me there so she could take over my life.
So you, rather than seek a solution where you both can be out, you just shove her back?
Why is that her job? Why is that Jessica's problem? It's not her. She doesn't owe Anne anything. In fact, Anne owes her.
I'm not saying anyone owes anyone anything, but did anyone consider that?
You knew. I didn't see you trying anything to get me out of there.
I was talking to Anne about it, and there was not a whole lot of time between when I knew for certain that it was Anne that I could gather any information.
But you allowed her to continue to lie to everyone here.
No, the second that I knew, I said something. And from moment one, I was trying to get her out. Because we all spent time together. We were friends.
We were friends in the last go-around here, Billy. I think this Anne was a different Anne.
Well, regardless of what it was,
What did she have to say when you brought it up? You said you brought it up to her about them both being out. How'd she seem to feel about that? Be honest now.
As I said, she deflected. She tried to find ways to distract, but she said it was painful in there. And that's why I was trying to get information so that Jessica could come out. But now she's there, and it seems I'm the only one that cares. And it seems none of you thought about her or me when you shoved her back in.
Billy, I'm sorry that you fell for her lies. I'm sorry that you thought that she's a good person somehow, some way. I feel bad for you. I'm sorry that you went through that with her. And I hope that maybe one day you'll see that.
I have no idea. All I know is you're all talking about Anne being evil and selfish, and how bad it was in there, and yet there doesn't seem to be a moment's hesitation to inflict all of that upon her.
And what about me? There was a hesitation on her end to actively push me into the mirror when there could have been other options.
And
she didn't have to. She didn't have to do that. We could have figured out something else. This is what she wanted. She wanted my life, Billy.
And for that aspect of it, I'm sorry. If she would have asked me and whatnot, I would have gladly poured over time and found a way.
But she didn't.
I know. And part of me is hurt about that. But part of me is absolutely hurt that none of you even took a moment to see if there was another option.
Billy, what you had with Anne wasn't real. Anne is barely real. I'm sorry that...
How is what we had any different than what you and Laz have?
Because Laz is a real fucking person on this side of the glass, man. What, Oak?
Sorry, I don't want to ruin anything. Listen. Let's just calm down for like 2 seconds, okay? Understand that everything in all the universes, because we are aware now that whatever this is more than just one, right? Because, Rosie, please tell me that you also understand that there are other iterations other than this one, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So you do?
Yeah.
Coop does? Okay, all right, look. So if that is the case, right, then what you're saying, Rosie, is right? What you're saying is right.
I know.
That Anne from iteration 1 isn't the same as iteration 2, okay? Right. So what I'm trying to get at is, let's all calm down, because I might be absolutely crazy for even suggesting it. But just let me suggest it, because I've been talking to Billy and there is an option. But it's stupid and it's crazy and it might cause horrible things.
Sounds like a great option. Why don't you go ahead and pitch it?
Hear me?
Hang on a second.
Okay.
Oak has the conch.
Okay.
We're reading what it applies right now in my
Sucks to your ass, Mar.
Okay. Thank you, Coop. Thank you. Okay. So, if Anne... Because look, Anne was with me during iteration 1, okay? I got to see my death and my birth, okay? That is scarring and traumatizing in and of itself. And guess who was there for me? Anne was. Anne was in the room with me, okay? So...
Listen, Oak, I get it. I told Anne stuff. I mean, we got ready for the dance together, and for girls, that's a big deal. But she's not real.
Okay. Well, You want to talk about not real? I know I have a family somewhere, okay? I know I have a family. I know I have a dad, and I know I have a mom, and I know I have sisters. And in this one, I don't have that. So you want to talk about real? The only things that are real in this universe for me are 1, 2, 3, 4. And if Laz were here, that would make 5, which means the 6 of us are the only real things that I have to worry about in this universe. Everything else can kick rocks. You are real to me. Okay? And I'm protecting all of you. I care about all of you. There might be a way to get Anne from iteration 1 to exist in iteration 2 without breaking iteration 2 Jessica.
So will Jessica get to stay? That's all.
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say, is that there is a possibility that happens. Now, do I think that is smart? No. But he looks across at Billy. Billy's my friend too, okay? And if Billy, it would be wrong of me not to at least suggest the option of bringing somebody that he cares about into this world, even if it comes from another universe or another place. That person, he kind of deserves to be able to be with who he wants to be with.
But Oak, what if this Anne is what Jessica says? What if she's evil?
Okay.
What if Anne is still Anne? And you haven't. No. Jessica says, I don't think that risk is worth taking. Not so that Billy can have someone. She said that's ridiculous.
No, I get it. But I mean, again, that's just me. Look, that is what I do. Okay? I think about everything. I have to, because there are so many different things that are happening. And also, Coop, how did you get that? That is the coolest thing I've ever seen in the entire world.
What?
Now you're playing with
He
power.
holds up your arm.
Oh,
Where did this come from, and how did you get it?
it came from the junk heap at the bottom of the mud hole.
Of course.
Where you get all Nintendo Power Gloves.
One of the rarest tech artifacts of the 80s, you know.
My hand found it for me. He's actually in there.
Your hand? Yes. So
Involuntarily, Coop's hand just goes.
hey,
Hello.
look at that. Hand.
Wait.
Okay. Was
You
for
have your
iteration
hand
1.
back and a power glove.
Well, yeah, I got my hand first. My hand somehow ended up in the hole with me, and then he found the power glove for me, and then everything just fused together.
So
It was
can
really
you take
cool.
the glove? Can you take the glove off?
I don't know. I haven't tried.
But your hand is actually back on your body.
Yeah, see?
Coop's waggling his digits. Are Coop's digits still like dead hand looking digits, or are they like real kid looking digits now?
Looking closely at your fingers, they still kind of look like that dead hand digits, but from under the edges of the power glove, where it's like the fingerless glove part, each of your fingers has just a few, like a fraction of an inch of that Tron-like circuitry, almost
Whoa.
looking like tattoos coming across your fingers.
Wow.
Yeah, you and I need to talk about this later, Oak, because I don't understand it.
Yes, please. That sounds like an awesome sleepover. Okay. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, but things have gotten weird real fast, guys. And I'm sorry if things that we've all done or whatever have shattered all that, but I love you guys. And I'm sorry if I did anything to do any of that, or I just want us all to be together and to stay safe, because there are clearly a bunch of weirdos out there who are trying to make things messed up for all of us. Okay?
I think we
There
should
is.
try to
Also-
keep us safe too. Like us,
Yeah.
6,
Yeah.
not a
Agreed.
7th. And I kind of like look over at Billy one more time.
And he will absolutely glare at you as you say that. Like,
It's not a popular opinion, and I love you so much, Jess. But I really liked Anne too. She was very nice to me, and she protected me.
Hmm.
I know that she's not your favorite person right now. She did some terrible things, it sounds like, but I'd really love it if there was a way for you both to be here.
well, it is clear that Rosie and Jess think nothing is worth even attempting to bring her back. So,
You weren't there. You didn't see her before she left. Before she pauses, like before her and TJ.
She took TJ with her, you know, as she went down. You didn't see her right at the end, man. You didn't see her in that 1 second. If you had seen that,
how long were you in there, Jessica? 2
Jake,
months?
how long?
6 weeks?
Months?
So it's interesting because
long
in
enough.
in real world time, not real world time, in game real world time, since the beginning of the iteration, which only about a month has passed, at most. However, there's this, I don't even know how to describe it. You feel, Jess, like you were stuck between iterations, and while the time between iterations could have been as short as the blinking of an eye, you feel like you may have been there for extra days, weeks, months, or even years. When you're in the mirror world, the longer you're in the mirror world, the less sense of time passage you have.
That's a real phenomenon. It's the same thing people experience in solitary confinement
Yep.
when they're imprisoned.
Well, that's like, you know,
think
what
Em made
Jessica
that
was
reference
going through.
last time,
Yeah, you have
Yeah.
you have nothing to mark the passage of time.
Mm.
You at most have had glimpses through the mirror as you saw things happening. For you, when we saw Jessica through other people's eyes, when you saw Oak in the bathroom of Maniac Pizza and tried to communicate with him, and then again moments later you saw Billy through the mirror, for you that felt like weeks had passed, though it had only been moments. Yet there were times when literal weeks had passed, and for you it only felt like moments had passed from when you would have a conversation to the next. I would say the greatest thing that helped to give you a sense of the passage of time and sort of ground you a little bit and connect you to the world outside of the mirror was having regular daily conversations and spending time with TJ.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing she says. She said, it doesn't matter how long I was in there. Time was meaningless there.
Well, you desperately wanted out, and she desperately wanted to not go back. So I don't know who this. I don't know this TJ. He refused to speak to me. He was even in my house and never said a word to me. So
Oh, the kid in the suit?
the uniform.
Yeah. He
He
knew
kept
stuff.
he kept me sane. He was the
That's
only
cool.
thing that kept me attached to this place. The only
Well,
thing that I could talk to. And Anne took him from me like she took everything.
Well, for what he did for you, I thank it. I thank him. But as equally as she took him from you, you guys took her from me. And sure, you say she's evil, but she lived in that place. And it's not your fault that she was there to begin with. You don't want her. That's fine. But you both, all of you, deserve to be out to live your lives. But none of you, well, maybe Coop. Everybody else is against me, and that's fine. Only
Well-
question is, where do we go from here?
I think we should lay low. I think we should just go to school, do our normal thing, and try to avoid any of the people that are working in the lab, like my mom, and just lay low.
This town is too small for us to avoid everyone connected to that cursed place.
Right. Just as best we can, you know.
The only way to end the issues is to stop what's going on, to find a way to, do more than a stopgap. We've got to find a way to end the nonsense. There's so many things that we've come across that we haven't even had a chance to breathe, let alone look into any of this stuff.
Oh, I think one of the ways that the lab gets some of their information is through their network of Jakes.
I'm sorry?
Excuse?
What?
Huh?
The lab has a network of Jakes. It's clones of the exact same guy. And most people don't notice him, but
Wait a minute.
One of them-
You mean like
Are
your
there
mom's
two
boyfriend?
I'm
Are
sorry,
there
what?
two guys that work at the school that I always thought they looked like a lot alike. I just thought they were like brothers, maybe. Is that
yeah,
two?
so it's the big beardy guy, and his name's usually Jake. My mother's boyfriend is Jake the boyfriend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that like Jake the boyfriend? Like that? They all look like that?
So after I fell into the mud hole and all that stuff happened, I met Jake the miner, and he lives in the network of he lives in the intricate network of tunnels that exist beneath Paradise that used to be a gypsum mine, but isn't anymore. And he told me about the active clone network that is being produced by the Nexus Project of this one guy called Jake the Original.
And
So-
I'm waiting for Jake to correct me. I know I'm gonna get something
You're
wrong.
fucking crushing it.
and he said that if I can free Jake Prime, if I can save Jake Prime, I can save all the Jakes somehow. I'm not entirely sure how, and that's why he gave me the keys.
But if the Jakes are spying on us, why do we want to save them?
Because if we can deprogram them, they won't work for Nexus anymore.
So is Jake the miner working for them, trying to give you these keys to make you do something
No,
stupid, or is he?
He showed me where he dug the microchip out from behind his ear.
What's a microchip?
I don't know. That's what he said it was.
Like a Dorito? Like
I
a
don't
small
know.
one?
There was something like an alien device or something that's in all the Jakes that can control them. But he took his out.
Oh.
And that's why Jake the bounty hunter came after him.
Okay.
Boop.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm gonna have you repeat like all of that, but I got as much as I possibly could. That is crazy. What awesome. Okay.
It really is.
Tell you what, that's all way over my head, so I'm just gonna go to class and play basketball. And when you guys figure something out, come find me.
Hey, you know, I think it would be smart for us to, like, we should lay low. I agree with you, Rosie. We should go to school. We should just do normal things. But I don't think we should just, like, split up and not see each other and not be around each other. I think the closer we are to each other is actually probably safer because we can protect each other and we can take care of each other.
Oak, I appreciate that. I need some time to myself. I gotta process some shit, okay? And I can't talk it out like you guys can. I gotta sit with it.
Okay, yeah, I respect that. I'm not gonna ask you to not do that. I don't want something bad to happen to you and me not be there, because I tried to get to Jessica. I tried to get to the room. Billy and I both did, and then I ended up, because I was stupid and I got into an accident, and then like space me came to like take care of me and like put me. I had a really bad accident, almost died, like weird. Don't even want to get into it, but
This is what happens when we split up.
yeah, so that's why I'm saying we should stay together so that we don't end up dying without each other.
I understand you wanting time to yourself. That's great. But I think in the long run, we need to stick together. I, for one, don't want to be alone. Weird things happen when I'm by myself.
Yeah. Those of you who want to, you know, we can always go to my place. I got a spot in the basement. We can play games. We can work on whatever conspiracies you got. You know, there's been a lot of kids that have gone missing, didn't even make it to the first day of school. I would certainly like to get my mind off of things and see if we can figure out whether it's connected to the Nexus project or if it's somebody else, something else.
And I know a lot of people didn't care about her much either, but I think we should check in on Claire too and make sure she's okay.
Should.
She survived our adventure out to sea, and that was only 2 days ago.
What day of the week is it right now?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay.
Oh,
Jesus,
on
Jenny.
Friday.
Okay.
It's
Well,
It's Sunday morning. The dance was Friday night.
Right.
The dance was Friday night, but was also 2 months ago.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Longer ago.
So Rosie would say, "Oh, that reminds me," and she would go back out, and where her bike is, there's also like a bag, and she would, or actually no, there's like a ticket. Rosie like reaches into her backpack for a ticket, and she hands it to Jess, and she's like, "I took your dress to the dry cleaners. It's got like a lot of Lake Superior on it."
I want to back up. You go outside to your bike.
Yeah, sure.
As you head out the door into the porch to go down the stairs. Now this is, I say porch, I use that term loosely. This is the porch is like a
Like a
four. It's a 4 foot
4
by 4
4
foot
with steps down.
with steps down. It's got the like thin wrought iron railing that probably has a couple loose bolts, so it kind of shakes a little bit on the one side. The paint's flaking off. As you open the door, there are two people about to walk up the steps and knock on the door. A tall, heavy-set man with a thick mustache and a blonde woman, thin, both wearing stereotypical 80s detective overcoats.
Rosie would shut the door behind her and then say, "Can I help you?"
You're Rosie Gunnarsson, aren't you? The man says.
Maybe. Who's asking?
I'm Detective Feldman. This is Detective Haim.
Jesus Christ. Of course, that's their name. Detective Feldman, and what's the other one?
Detective Haim.
Hey. Okay. Haen, I'm sure.
Haim.
Oh, Haim. Got it. Perfect. Done.
Actually, I don't know what the correct spelling is, so whatever the...
It is.
Haim is fine.
If it's Corey,
It's
then it
100%
is
the Corys.
yeah.
Yes, okay.
So it's easy to remember. Detective Haim is the blonde woman.
Okay, perfect. Got it.
So he introduces himself as detectives. Themselves as detectives.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're in there with your friends, trying to relax on a Sunday afternoon. We need to ask you some questions.
Just me or everybody?
He kind of looks past you towards the, kind of craning his neck to try to see through one of the windows. Well, to be honest, whoever's in there.
Well, I just had to drop off a dress that I borrowed from Jessica here. None of them were home. So, my friends are wherever the hell they are. Jess wasn't home, but I just went in.
Detective Haim kind of leans around Detective Feldman and says, Miss Gunnarsson, let's try not to start this off with lying to us. It's going to set a terrible precedent for the questions we have to ask you. We're not trying to cause you kids any harm. We want to ask you some questions about quite frankly, and Feldman interrupts. There's a lot of weird shit going down in this town, and we want to get to the bottom of it. And he glances over at the bikes. Coop's bike, Oak's bike, Billy's bike.
I forgot about
your
the
bike. He goes,
What?
So you can keep...
I rode all 3 bikes here.
So you can keep this... You can keep this charade up if you want. And he kind of takes a step forward, closing the space between you and the closed door. Or we can have a nice civil conversation, inside or outside. It's your choice. The quicker you're forthright with us, answer a few questions, the quicker we can be on our way, and you can get about to doing your little teeny bopper stuff.
Rosie has taken this can of Verner's with her. And it has yeah. Rosie would sit down on the top step and just kind of say, okay, go ahead and ask. I'm ready.
You gonna invite your friends out here?
I think they can come out there when it's their turn. Don't you? We're trying to keep things civil.
Okay. Make a charm roll for me. This is going to be contested.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. I'm going to use my star. My 1 star.
That's your gold star to get a +2.
Make that a 7.
Okay.
Very charming.
So.
And slightly intoxicated. So extra charming.
What ranks do you have? Do you have any ranks that might be beneficial here?
Nope. Unless they're physically afraid of a 14-year-old girl. But other than that, I have tank and rank.
All right, so you rolled a total of 7 with your bonus?
Yes, sir.
Now, do you have rebellious?
I'm rolling on screen.
I guess I do have rebellious because
Oh, yeah.
I'm interacting with adults.
That
Thank
gives you a
you,
plus 3.
Ted.
Because you can
And that's
see
a
what I
plus 3.
rolled.
So that's a 10. Ha ha! 10. Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome.
Feldman says, all right. That's how you want to do it. And he reaches into his inside pocket and he pulls out a little Spyro steno notebook. Spiral, not Spyro. Spiral steno
Spyro
notebook.
the Dragon?
Yes.
Spyro wasn't out yet, I think.
And he pulls out his pencil and he does the classic. It's one of those almost like a golf pencil, and he does the licks it.
Got it.
So, as I said, there's a lot of weird stuff going on around this town, and we've got a lot of questions about a lot of things. And he kind of flips through a couple pages and he goes, I'm going to start with this. You, your friends, you ever notice things repeating? Like a loop or some kind of deja vu, but different. Call them iterations. You familiar with that? Who's behind it?
I've had deja vu before. I can't say that I'm thinking like what you're saying. I've never seen that.
So you've never
Did
noticed?
you ever have deja vu?
Did you wait? What?
Okay. What about the Nexus Project? Does that mean anything to you? Like some kind of club at school that you and your friends are in, or?
Never heard of anything like that.
He flips another page. Kind of shakes his head. All right. This time he closes the notebook as he looks you right in the eyes. Does the name Algernon mean anything to you? I'm going to need you to make another charm check to see if you can bypass this. Because he's making direct eye contact.
Do I get rebellious again?
You get rebellious while while interacting with adults.
While I'm talking with him? Then that's a 6.
Oh, that was almost.
Thank God.
I love that you guys can now see my rolls. I kind of like the transparency and.
So Rosie kind of shrugs and kind of finishes her Verners and puts it down beside her on the step. And goes, nope.
All right. He's kind of a little exasperated that he's not getting anywhere. Have you noticed anybody in town acting strange? You know, your teachers, other kids, people in town. Just tell me what you've seen, kid.
I know this one kid at school. His last name Wilson. He's very strange. He's like a super nerd, like even nerdier than my buddy Oak, and that's really saying something. And yeah, he's strange. Is that what you mean? And Rosie kind of smiles. She knows damn well that's not what he means, but she says that anyway.
You see him writing this name down. Wilson. This is a kid you know from school.
So weird.
Got a last name?
His last name is Wilson. His first name is Tim.
Tim Wilson. Now, GM Jake doesn't know if this is pure coincidence or if you have some inside information on something.
I do not.
The reason I ask
Wilson is not on the student roster.
The reason I ask is that Jay is playing a character named Wilson tomorrow.
Oh my god!
That's it, and I know you play in a game with Jay and you talk to Jay. I thought you were dropping an Easter egg for our Hell game tomorrow.
Nope, just the first name I thought of. Holy shit! Wow.
Okay.
That's cool.
No, that was
Rosie.
I just took it that you were dropping an Easter egg, so that's a weird coincidence.
That's not beyond me. But
Even
that's
Purple
wild.
Swirl in the chat thought you were referencing Jay's character.
That's funny. That's
That's
funny.
a wild coincidence because Wilson is not
cosmic.
a very common name
No.
for you
no,
to have
it's not.
grabbed that one.
So Rosie is just kind of sitting there, and I guess she's just like hoping to God that the other kids inside hear her out here talking to somebody, and like
I
a
at this
plan?
point, because we've established that there are windows open, and just for the record, if I haven't said this before, the model in my head for Jessica's trailer is the trailer that I grew up visiting my grandparents in Toledo, Ohio. And I know a lot of these mobile homes have these sort of a pebbled glass windows that they had a hand crank that you would turn, and these louvered windows would go and open up. And several of those are open. So
Rosie would ask. She said, "Now, you two said you were detectives. Like detectives with who? Like the sheriff, the local police, the state police?"
Haim steps in and says, "I assure you that this is all well within our jurisdiction. We don't work with the local authorities. That would be a conflict of interest." And then she, without allowing you time to respond to that, she looks at her own notebook and she goes, "What about the name Ashley Raven? Does that mean anything to you?"
Can I say at that point Jessica comes out?
Thank
Oh, yeah.
God. Oh,
after
that's perfect.
hearing.
Because Rosie's eyes
Absolutely.
kind of like get a little
Yeah.
big, and then that's
I was
right
about
when
to step out as well.
perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
this is a great point for the doors to sort of open up, and kind of the rest of you sort of standing there in the doorway as Feldman sees you, Jess, and says, "Ah, so your friends have decided to join us. I'm Detective Feldman.
What are you doing here?
I'm Detective Feldman. This is my partner, Detective Haim. We're investigating some peculiarities around town. We're asking you kids some questions. Your friend Rosie here was kind enough to tell us what she knew. And we're hoping the rest
What do
of
you
you
wanna
can
know, and
answer
what are you
some
gonna do about it?
questions."
Can I see your badges? Also, it's kind of weird that you're here. My mom's not here. I'm uncomfortable. Can you come back when my mom's here?
I need you to make a charm check.
Nice.
As
Get it.
they do
You
reach
have
in,
rebellious too, bud. Don't forget.
they reach in like they're grabbing their badges, but when you say that about your parents, they kind of hesitate for a moment as we see how this unfolds. And I'm going to roll separately.
The same time that Jess said that, Billy was like, what do you want to know and what are you going to do about it?
I don't know why, but everything closed. Okay. There we go. Sorry, what does rebellious do?
Gives you a plus
+3
3 when interacting with adults. When making charm. I can't remember if it's specifically charm checks or just interacting with adults.
18.
Jeez. Alright, I'm going to roll separately for Feldman and Haim because you're now dealing with both of them. So Feldman gets a 10. Haim. Whoops. Too quick on the button there. It's an 11. She kind of looks around at both of you, and I imagine as you're saying this, and you're saying it maybe a little louder than your normal speaking voice.
Mhm.
Mrs. Ferguson is your next door neighbor. She lives in a blue and white trailer. She's got pink flamingos out in front. She's got, in a very small plot at the front of her trailer, she's got very beautiful little garden that's sort of, it's the waning days of summer, so things have seen better days. But she has a nice little like white picket fence around it. She's very nice. When you were younger, she used to come over and keep an eye on you while your mom had to work late or whatever. Mrs. Ferguson has quietly stepped out on her porch. She's wearing one of those, I guess, I want to say house dress. I'm picturing my Grandma Russell right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's got these like yellow slide type little slippers.
Mrs. Roper Caftan?
Yes.
That's it. She's got her hair's in curlers, and she's holding in one hand she has a she has a coffee mug that I don't know why this I'm gonna say, because now I'm picturing my Aunt Carol. It just says fuck you very much on it. And in the other hand, she's holding a cigarette that has an ash on it that's like an inch long. She doesn't say a word, but she steps out and she takes a big drag of the cigarette. And before she exhales,
Oh my god! Wow. Nobody
Detective
wants to fuck with Mrs. Ferguson.
Detective Haim looks out, or looks around and kind of notices Mrs. Ferguson and just goes, "All right, kid."
I'll step past the group and I'll go out to them. And
You can see that the Dodge Diplomat is parked in the road, in the lane, parallel or perpendicular to the driveway.
And this is the car that we've seen before, right?
Yeah, this is the car. These are clearly the detectives that you've seen, you spotted around town over the last 24 hours.
So, I guess to kind of be contrary to Jess and Rosie, like he'll push past and be like, "Look, ask your questions. What do you want to know?"
Well, thank you, Mr. Stapler, for being so forthcoming.
I look nervously at Jess.
As I was asking,
Fucker's gonna give us all up.
Miss Gunnarsson here, I want to know if you kids have ever noticed this sense of deja vu, but different. Like things are repeating or changing, and you have a sense of it.
There are so many weird things that happen in this town that if I start spilling, you're gonna think I'm absolutely lying.
Do you think all of these weird things have something to do with this Nexus project?
The cherry orchard?
The cherry processing plant or the orchards around town? You think those have something to do with the Nexus project?
Yep.
Interesting. What about, and this is Detective Haim. What about Algernon? Is this somebody
You're not
you
gonna
know?
believe me, but he was a rat.
Oh, so untrustworthy character.
No, a physical animal. White rat, yeah, red eyes.
Okay.
I can tell you don't believe me, but it's truth.
Let's try something a little bit different. And Feldman interrupts and he says, "What about Ashley Raven? Does that name mean anything to you?"
Yeah, she's involved with the Nexus project.
Yeah. Have you ever met her face to face, or is she more like a shadow?
I've met her face to face, right?
Yeah. Have you? Yeah, you all have.
Well, wasn't she the one who was telling me directly, like, we're gonna go to the second iteration?
You've all met.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've all met Raven.
Yes, I've met her face to face.
What she promised you, huh? Or did she threaten you? And he's kind of leaning into you a little bit.
There was there's no promises. It's not a, she's an evil woman.
So you think she's evil, and she's involved with the Nexus Project.
She's involved with the Nexus Project with kidnapping and experimenting on children.
Kidnapping?
Yeah.
You see, they're both flipping through their notes, and they're like, all right. Missing kids. You know that some kids have been disappearing for a little while. Look,
Absolutely.
kids don't just vanish without a trace. Someone's got to know something. Do you know any of the kids who were taken?
I know that there was a girl in my math class that she sat behind me last year named Abby that she never showed up to school.
That'd be
Other kids have talked about others that have gone missing.
Abby Handler.
I think that was her name.
What about and Feldman leans over, kind of points at something on his notes, and Haim kind of looks, she kind of shrugs. And he goes, what about Claire Spicer? How well did you know her?
I hung out with her a little bit after the dance.
The dance, that would be the dance the other night. The homecoming dance. Was that the last time any of you saw Claire?
Yeah. After I got home.
Was she acting strange? Saying anything weird?
No. She was totally normal.
Look,
What kind of weird?
I don't know. But kids don't just disappear without a trace.
Is Claire missing?
It hasn't been made public yet, but
Oh my god.
as of last night, Claire has not returned home, and we believe that she's a part of the abductions. Was she involved with anyone suspicious? Any older kids or adults that might have had influence over her? Did she ever mention feeling scared or followed or uneasy?
No.
I didn't really interact with her all that long enough to hear her say anything like that.
I knew Claire pretty well. I know Claire pretty well. She no, she didn't say anything like that.
Do you think Claire found something out? Like maybe she learned something about the Nexus Project or the iterations or Algernon? Was she maybe poking her nose somewhere it didn't belong?
What do you know about the iterations?
Huh. We know things are different. From day to day, things can seem pretty normal. 1 minute, it's the middle of summer and kids are having fun. Next minute, it's back to school. 1 minute, you're enjoying a nice family dining experience at a kitschy but nice restaurant. The next day, you're getting egg rolls to go.
You never did say who your detective's with.
I would like Billy to make a charm check.
Cool.
And this is going to influence their response.
Charm.
Good thing Jeremy was not here because I didn't realize I left
Fuck.
I left that D12 up over top of his missing character
Right.
face the whole time.
Jeremy would have been going like this.
Yeah, he would have been
sure.
peering around it.
So is rebellious helping me here, hurting me here?
I don't know.
Helping.
It's a +3 every time.
Okay.
You're dealing
all
with
right.
adults, so that's like a given. You guys get that.
All right. I want this to succeed. So I'm gonna use my gold star. I'm gonna use 2 pops
Atta boy.
at my rebellious and make that be a 13.
Ooh,
All right, before I
lucky
roll, I need to
13.
do a little.
Yay, my favorite thing.
Then I'll give you those, and I'll change the bonus. Okay. Housekeeping done. Let's roll some dice. So you've got a 13.
Yes. So they've been rolling a 12. So I'm hoping that they don't
See-
explode. And
Me waiting to roll and roll on screen in front of you also changes the dynamic of how you spend your
Sure.
bonuses too, which I like. Here we go. Detective Haim.
Oh, suck it.
Detective Feldman is going to roll next.
oh,
That scared me. That scared me.
I'm going to be straight with you. We're not detectives.
okay.
And Feldman and Haim pull out their little ID wallets, whatever, from inside their pocket, and they drop them down, and they say FBI on them.
Ooh.
You can see a picture of each of them.
And it's not one of the 80s little prank things that say female body inspector on it.
I mean, as much as your teenage self can tell, these look like legitimate FBI badges.
FBI. I think at this point, Rosie would stand up and be like, I gotcha. This was all made under false pretenses. I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving. Guys, I'll see you at school tomorrow. I'm gone. Rosie would stand up and go, start untangling her bike from fucking Coop's bike and Oak's bike, and just start getting ready to leave. And yeah, if they let her go, she fucking peels out. She wants to go find Laz and make sure that he knows the fucking FBI is on the prowl.
They
Hide your fucking spray paint cans, dude.
they both look like they want to stop you. But given the results of the last sets of rolls and the fact that Haim straight up rolled a 1 versus Billy's 13, they don't say anything to you as they leave, and then they look at the rest of you and they say, look, we didn't tell you that we were with the FBI because we didn't want to spook you any more than we had to. But listen, we're keeping an eye on things. And I understand you guys have a lot of reason to not trust a lot of adults.
If all you're doing is keeping an eye, that's not going to do anything here in this
No,
town.
we're not just keeping an eye. That's why we're talking to you kids. Every time something weird that we can see happens, all of you or some of you seem to somehow be in the vicinity of this. At least 2 of the kids that are missing, you know. This Ashley Raven, for some reason, bears a striking resemblance to the Principal Gunnarsson of the Paradise Academy, who just so happens to be your friend Rosie's mom. This Algernon, who is a person of interest, and that's all I can say, is your foster father. Yet,
That only happened a couple of days ago.
I have records that show that you were at once upon a time under the care of Heinz. I forget what his last name is. De Garner or something like that. I can't remember. But, as I'm sure you know, this Heinz does no longer exist, nor does that previous residence. There's a lot of things that are happening in this town, and look, you're so smart kids. And I know you're going to put your heads together and you're going to try to figure some things out.
That's the plan.
Just try to keep yourselves out of danger.
Well, even when we tried to keep ourselves out of danger, danger found us.
Just know that we are, believe it or not, good guys.
Got a card?
You see that Haim is already reaching inside her shirt pocket, and she pulls out a little silver case and kind of pops it open, and she pulls out a couple of cards and kind of starts to anybody that she hands one to you, but she starts to hand them to anybody else that'll take them.
Pull out, the little teenager wallet and undo the Velcro and put the card in.
Listen, we're gonna be around town. We're staying in the motel on the south side of town, outside of town. You can see written on the back of the card is in ink pen is the phone number. It just says like Paradise Motel, and then it says room 6, written on it, and then the phone number, and they say, we're gonna let you kids go now, but if you hear anything,
particular information you want,
I think the proper term would be peculiar information.
Well, I can give you a laundry list of peculiar things with ley lines and time travel and monsters.
As you say monsters, they both kind of look at each other, and for some reason, Detective Feldman kind of looks at his watch and he makes a little adjustment, and Haim kind of looks up and kind of scans the sky for a moment and says, yeah, well, next full moon's a month away. All right, stay safe. Try to stay out of too much trouble. Lean on us if you need us. We're going to keep asking questions around town. We're going to keep an eye on things. We're going to try to keep our eyes on you. Not in a creepy way, in a protective way.
Thanks for coming out in the open and saying something, because we honestly thought that you were yet another threat in this town. We've noticed you noticing.
And we noticed you noticing that we noticed. Honestly, we were just waiting to get you all together. That's all. It's easier, and well, we've got some questions. We'd like to talk to your friend, Mr. Eccles, if he's around. And
you're
Cut
not
to
gonna
Rosie
get
going,
hurt.
like freaking pedaling fast.
Detective Hain goes, "Yeah, I'd like to talk to Mr. Eccles." And she kind of glances at the car, and you realize that there's the remnants of spray paint on the side of the car, where somebody's tried to clean off, where somebody has tagged the side of the car, and you recognize a little bit of Laz's handiwork, I'm sure.
You're not going to get anything out of that kid.
We'll see.
Unless you're going to start waterboarding him, you're not going to get him to talk. He does not like cops. Doesn't like authority, honestly.
Well, you have our information, use it. And they start to walk back towards the car. And Detective Haim walks around to the driver's side and gets in, and Detective Feldman opens the car door and puts one foot in, then he turns back to the rest of you, and he kind of looks over all of you, and his eyes land on you, Jessica. For what it's worth, I'm glad you're back. And gets in the car. And then they drive off. And that seems like a really good place to end this session.
Oh, wow.
I debated for a long time tonight whether or not the Coreys were actually going to confront you guys. And it was one of my stipulations was if anybody tries to leave the house, they're going to be because I had sort of Chekhov gun presented them at the beginning with Billy's scene, and we've seen them at least 2 or 3 other times. But you also got some new information from them. Claire Spicer is apparently missing. It was pure coincidence when you mentioned Claire too. Somebody had mentioned Claire, and that's when the detective showed up. And among my list of questions for them was to question you about Claire's disappearance. So,
oh my god,
it's been barely 36 hours since we saw Claire. So
yeah,
right.
She is so low on my radar. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
Who the hell are these guys?
Yeah, they seem to know a lot.
Guys.
They know way too much information, and
yes, they do.
Even if I wasn't just being the good guy. I need to be contrary to what you ladies wanted. So
perfect. That makes sense.
What do you guys think of the slight change of having the on-screen dice roller?
Oh, I love it. That's cool.
Pretty dope.
I'm glad. I've wanted an on-screen dice roller for so long, and Jeremy asked me a question about a couple weeks ago about how to do something that got me doing a little bit of research, and I sort of stumbled into it, and it's ridiculous how easy it is to have an on-screen dice roller.
Nice.
And you can customize the dice. Like I customized the D100. I customized the appearance of the dice, the size of the dice, and then just had to add everything into my Stream Deck, including the way they slide off the screen and all that. I even was trying to figure out if I could find a way for you guys to be able to somehow like type a command in somewhere and activate the dice roller. That's next on my... That feels like an app thing, but... thank you all. It's good to have most of the gang back together. Jeremy very much wanted to be here, but unfortunately real life said, sorry, you've got other things to do.
Not today.
So that adds a little more to the mystery of where was Laz. Although Rosie, I think, may have called it. Laz is probably just sleeping in. It's a Sunday afternoon after a wild 36 hours. So.
Chucking pebbles at his window. Laz, wake up!
I do love that was Rosie's first thing, was to sort of casually ride away until out of sight and then just pedal as hard as possible to Stonehill. We just see, as the credits of the episode are rolling, we see Rosie kind of walking her bike, pushing it up Stonehill out of breath.
Sweaty. Like, oh my god. And it's just sweating out the booze.
So I like the booze. You had like one shot glass of
I know.
vodka.
But for her, she's a
But
fucking
yeah, you're a
baby. She's
14-year-old
14.
baby. All right, well, thank you everybody. Thank you to everybody who cheered and for the subs and all that. We appreciate that. Thank you for everybody hanging out in chat. Love seeing everybody just chatting in the chat. Quick reminder, either watch with us live tomorrow, or if you're watching on VOD, tune in tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern right here for Welcome to Hell, Michigan. Get ready for one hell of a field trip. A Paradise, Michigan one-shot taking place on Friday the 13th, and it is also Friday, September 13th, 1985 in-game, which coincidentally is probably, we're going to say it's the same week that you guys are returning to school. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night with that group. But yeah, stay tuned for all of our usual other shows and information. And a final, as always, huge thank you to these amazing teens and kids, played by even more amazing people who I'm happy to call my friends, and I love playing these silly little games with you all. Thank you, Chad, Tamiko, Gary, Ted, M. And though he wasn't with us tonight, he was with us in spirit, Jeremy, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the stream the same way we're going to end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want. Me today.